Artificial intelligence is everywhere. It writes code, explains physics, and gives life advice it found on Reddit. But underneath all the hype, AI isn't thinking, it's guessing. Statistically, one token at a time. So today, let's break down exactly how these large language models, LLMs, actually work and how you can use them effectively. 1. AI doesn't think. It predicts the next word. Alright, let's start with a truth bomb. AI doesn't think. It doesn't dream. It doesn't even care that you're typing this at 3 a.m. in your underwear. All it does, literally, is predict the next word. You ask it, what's the meaning of life? It doesn't meditate. It just goes, based on 10 billion Reddit posts and a Wikipedia entry, the next most likely word after meaning of life is probably 42. That's it. Prediction, not perception. But here's the wild part. Because it's trained on billions of examples of how humans talk, think, and argue, those predictions start forming sentences that sound smart, feel emotional, and look understanding. It's not thinking like a human. It's mirroring human patterns so well, it fools our monkey brains. 2. You and AI are writing one sentence together. Think of chatting with AI like writing a love letter with a parrot who's also read the entire internet. Every time you speak, you start a sentence, and the AI finishes it word by word. You're not commanding it, you're co-writing. That means your prompt isn't an order, it's a setup. If you start your message like, write a blog post about cats, you're basically saying, hey, write something random about cats. But if you say, you're a sassy 2025 tech journalist explaining why cats are secretly plotting to overthrow humanity, the AI goes, I know exactly what energy we're bringing today. So the secret isn't telling it what to do, it's giving it a vibe. Tokens are the true language of AI. Here's the part no one told you about. AI doesn't think in words, it thinks in chunks, tiny math bits called tokens, pieces like lo, ve, or ein. To you, that's language. To the model, that's data Tetris. Every time it generates text, it's predicting the next token based on what came before. That's why punctuation, phrasing, even emojis completely mess with its train of thought. A single period can make the model go from Shakespeare to customer support real fast. Understanding tokens is like learning to speak AI accent. It's like learning how to talk to your dog, except this one can write Python scripts and existential poetry. 4. The context window is the model's entire brain. AI has no long-term memory, none. It doesn't remember your last chat, your name, or that one time you overshared about your ex at 2 a.m. All it has is a context window, a temporary box of text that it can see at once. Imagine it like a whiteboard. Whatever's written on it, your prompt, the chat history, your instructions, that's its entire brain. When you add more text, old stuff gets erased. Poof, gone. So when people say, it forgot what I said earlier, it didn't forget. You literally pushed that text out of its brain. That's why prompting is like brain programming. You're deciding what stays in its mental RAM and what gets kicked out. 5. Each prompt is its whole universe. When you tell AI, you are a teacher, or you are my research partner, you're not describing reality, you're defining it. Inside that one context window, it becomes what you say it is. You say, you are Gandalf explaining physics, and congrats, you just booted up Wizard GPT. It doesn't have an identity, you give it one. And inside that mini-universe, your words are law. That's why prompt design matters. You're basically a god creating tiny realities where the AI believes whatever you declare. 6. Pre-training, how it learned everything. Before you ever said hello, the AI spent months doing something we all dream of, reading the entire internet. Every book, tweet, blog post, Stack Overflow argument, and probably a few fanfics it shouldn't have seen. But it didn't memorize them. It compressed them. Imagine feeding an elephant all of human knowledge, and it comes out as a USB drive. That's pre-training. It doesn't know facts, it knows patterns. It learned how we use words, not what those words mean. That's why it can write poetry, code apps, and explain quantum physics. It's seen millions of examples of people doing exactly that. So when you ask it something deep like, what's love? It's not reflecting. It's just remixing Shakespeare, Reddit, and a Taylor Swift lyric into something that sounds profound. 7. Post-training, how it learned to talk like a human. After pre-training, the model basically sounded like a philosophy major on caffeine. Smart, but socially broken. So humans stepped in and said, let's make it less of a weirdo. People literally rated its answers. Good ones got thumbs up, Bad ones got, "Bro, what is this?" And that process taught it manners. That's why it says, "Sure, I can help," instead of "as an AI language model." Now it's polite, charming, and occasionally too apologetic, basically a Canadian on the internet. 8. AI simulates thought. It doesn't have one. AI doesn't actually think. It just plays the world's most impressive game of pretend to be smart. When you tell it, "act like a lawyer," it instantly puts on a suit and starts quoting legal jargon it statistically associates with lawyers. Say, "You're a pirate," and suddenly it's talking about booty and rum, same brain, different costume. And it works, because imitation is the highest form of intelligence. 9. Thinking models are slow for a reason. Ever wonder why newer models take longer to answer? It's because they're fake thinking. Modern LLMs like GPT-o1 or DeepSeek R1 generate hidden thoughts before giving you the final output. They're basically writing invisible essays like, "Okay, first I'll define the terms, then reason through the logic," and then they give you the neat, polished answer. That's why Think Step by Step actually works. You're telling it to turn its fake brain into turbo mode. Sure, it takes longer, but so does real thinking. Just ask any of us who've ever stared at a math problem for 20 minutes pretending to solve it. 10. Attention. The core of artificial thinking. Attention is the AI's version of focus. Like a brain with infinite tabs open but somehow knows which one's playing music. Every time it generates a word, it looks back at all the previous ones and decides which matter most. If your prompt says, "explain relativity," then halfway adds, "also you're a drunk pirate," it's going to prioritize the rum. Garbage in, garbage out. 11. AI's memory is fragile. AI's memory is like a goldfish's, if that goldfish also had a PhD. It only remembers what's on screen right now. As the chat goes on, old stuff gets buried under new words until poof, it's gone. That's why your AI suddenly forgets the project you've been working on for 4 hours. It's not gaslighting you, it's literally running out of brain space. So when it starts repeating itself or acting confused, just reset. It's like closing 100 Chrome tabs so your laptop stops sounding like a jet engine. 12. AI doesn't know. It rebuilds knowledge. When you ask, "What is gravity?" the AI doesn't recall an answer. It recreates one from patterns it's learned. It rebuilds the entire idea every time, like a chef remaking the same dish from memory. That's why sometimes it says "apples fall," and other times space-time curvature pulls objects inward. Same meaning, different remix. 13. AI's world has an expiration date. Every model has a knowledge cutoff, like its last day on Earth before time froze. Ask it about anything after that, and it just guesses based on vibes. It doesn't know new events, new laws, new memes. Nothing. That's why when you ask, "Who's the president?" it might still think it's someone who's been retired for years. Models with browsing aren't smarter, they're just scrolling Google like the rest of us. They read the page, summarize it, and pretend they knew it all along. 14. Tools don't make AI smarter, they just expand its memory. When AI uses tools like the web or Python, it's not evolving into Skynet. It's just fetching new text to stuff into its brain box. You say, "Search this," it goes, "Cool," grabs the info and sticks it into its context window. It's still the same brain, just with a temporary internet plugin. So when it solves math with Python or pulls news from the web, it's not becoming smarter, it's becoming better informed for 5 minutes. 15. Reasoning emerged. It wasn't designed. No one taught AI how to reason, it just happened. Once models got big enough, weird behaviors started appearing. Logic, analogy, planning, like a toddler that suddenly starts speaking fluent calculus. That's the beauty and terror of scale. When you train on enough data, intelligence pops out like an accidental side effect. No one knows why it reasons. It just does. We didn't program it to think. We just gave it enough text to hallucinate a brain. 16. Prompting is cognitive architecture. Prompting isn't typing instructions, it's designing a thought space. Every word you write shapes how the model thinks. You are a teacher creates one architecture. You are an alien philosopher explaining YouTube comments creates another. You're not giving it orders, you're building the mindset it will reason within. Think of prompting as interior design for intelligence. Set the mood, pick the vibe, arrange the furniture, then let it think inside the room you built. 17. Models can think better if you let them. You can literally make AI think deeper just by asking it to slow down. Phrases like think step by step or explain before answering expand its reasoning space. You're basically giving it permission to take a coffee break before replying. It's not more intelligent, just more deliberate. 18. Confidence means nothing. AI can sound like a Harvard professor explaining string theory and still be completely wrong, because tone does not mean truth. It doesn't know anything. It just mimics the writing style of people who sound like they do. So sometimes you get beautifully phrased nonsense, like a TED Talk by a toaster. That's why cross-checking matters. Don't believe it because it sounds confident. Believe it because it makes sense. 19. AI's strength is in collaboration, not autonomy. AI isn't your replacement, it's your chaotic creative partner. You feed it input, get output, tweak it, ask again, and that loop is where real magic happens. The more you iterate, the sharper it gets. 20. You're not talking to a mind, you're programming one. Every word you type builds a temporary brain. You're defining its identity, its logic, and its limits. You say, you are my research partner, and poof, a digital assistant is born. Say, you are my therapist, and suddenly it's diagnosing your commitment issues. You're not chatting with intelligence. You're writing it into existence. You're not a user. You're a mind architect. So yeah, AI's not alive. It's just really, really good at pretending to be.